All right, everybody. Welcome to this first week of this model. And today we shall be looking at extended reality and immersive learning. So, we are looking at this in relation to education, and we shall be looking at it in the form that it will help to transform education through the integrated immersive technologies. So, in this particular presentation, we shall be looking at what is XR. We shall also be looking at the different kinds of XR applications, talking about the augmented reality, that's AR. We shall also be looking at virtual reality, that is the VR, and the MR, which is the mixed uh, reality of this XR applications. And finally, also talk about immersive learning and some of the benefits that we get from it, and finally looking at the general benefits of XR in our educational industry. So to move a step ahead, what then is XR? So XR is just an umbrella term for all technologies, and that is blended into both physical and virtual worlds. And it has the three main components, like I mentioned earlier on in the introduction, that we have the augmented, which is usually termed as the AR. We have the virtual realities, which is termed as the VR, and we also have the mixed realities, which we call the MR. And the purpose of this particular term or applications is to enhance learning through interactive multisensory experiences, because we have different kinds of learners. So if we tackle it in only one stream, it's going to be of a challenge. But if we look at it from different streams, then it's really going to help a lot. So if you are someone who is more into the virtual, you go for the virtual. If you're someone who deals more into uh, 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 the mix, you go for the mix. And if you want to the augmented, you go to the augmented. Now, so let's take them one after the other and look at them. So number one is the augmented reality, and which is usually termed as an AR, and this is an overlay digital information platform, and it includes images, models, or text onto the real world. And one of their key features is that they have real-time interactions. They also have 3D visualizations, and they also have device-based accessibilities. And if you want to look at examples of these augmented realities, then we can talk about anatomy exploration apps that we have these days in biology. We can also talk about the AR for chemistry, visualized simulations. These are practical or most common applications of augmented reality apps. Now, VR, which is the virtual reality. So this is also a type of extended reality which immerses learners in full digital environment using headsets or immersive displays. And like the name implies, it uses visuals. So that is how it works. And one of their benefits is that it gives safe practice spaces. It also has experiential simulations that is have that kind of hands-on, and it also has an empathy building scenarios. And examples of these virtual realities, which are most common and popular, is the virtual labs, which we know. We can also talk about field trips and flight or surgical training sections. These are all virtual reality platforms that we can talk about. Now, the third one, which is the mixed reality, the MR. So this merges both physical, like the name implies, it's a mixed reality app, and it mixes between the physical and digital elements, allowing for real virtual object interactions. And learners are able to manipulate the model, though as they coexist with this physical tools. And the applications of these mixed realities that we see them in engineering designs across the world. They also help in medical procedures, and in collaborative learning spaces, we see this mixed reality XRs around. Now, let's also we want to move ahead and talk about the technological affordances of XR. And we want, even though we can talk about more, we want to look at all three of them. And one of them has to do with the presence. And this XR gives a sense of being there in the virtual space. It gives you that kind of reality of being there in a virtual space, interacting and making you feel active in whatever you are doing. And by so doing, that brings us to the second point, but that gives you an active control, and they also have the opportunity to give you feedback loops and talking about the interactivity. And of course, you can also personalize it. It gives you some kind of personalization to adapt to content tailored to the learner or the needs of anybody who is in manipulating or doing this, and helps them in terms of their performance. Instructional benefits of XR. So, what are some of the benefits that we can talk about when we talk about XR? So, XR, we can, as we talk about it, it's something that has to do with engagement, has to do with involving yourself in it. So, it increases engagement in immersive scenarios. So, learners are able to engage themselves, and by so doing, it improves retention, helps them to remember or have active doing. So, it gives them proper retention of whatever they are doing because they are doing hands-on and have this kind of contextualized experiences. And by so we are talking about experiential learning, which we all know is a kind of learning that has to do with more of engagement and active collaborations with hands-on activities. And it supports experiential learning, which align with the constructivist theories, and it encourage this kind of collaborative learning and problem solving in our educational sector. Now, the final part of this presentation has to do with immersive learning. So, we want to talk about immersive learning. And immersive learning has been around for some time, and we know that this is a kind of learning that integrates experiential activities in technology mediated environments. And the traditional examples that we can talk about is field trips or field work, as well as role play and lab experiments. These are traditional immersive learning activities that we know about. And in our current days, or in this 21st century, we can talk about it that modern XR examples or immersive learning examples are the virtual learning expeditions. We can also talk about the AR labs as well as the mixed reality project simulations that we have around these days as examples of immersive learning. Now, how can we design effective XR experiences? So, for us to first of all be able to talk about how we can design effective XR experiences, we need to first of all talk about the experience, aligning the experiences with the learning objectives of our curriculum standards, whatever we want to assess or whatever the curriculum gives us or wants us to do, we must align this our experiences with it. And secondly, is that we must ensure that there is accessibility and inclusiveness, and in terms of the device compatibility and user comfort, it must be comfortable for the learners to use. And also, we must also incorporate instructional scaffolding and reflection opportunities for learners to be able to go back to see whatever they've done and make corrections and integrations to make sure that the next time around they do it better. And there should also be some kind of test for usability and learner feedback loops. So if they do something, they should be able to get the feedback and know whether this was right or wrong and how they can improve or make it better the next time round. And the last but not the second but not the least slide is how can we evaluate and our XR platform applications and make conclusions of XR learning. So for us, we want to evaluate our XR or immersive learning, we need to evaluate it using metrics. We have to look at its engagement. How is the engagement like? How is the usability? How is the knowledge transfer done from the platform to the learners? And also make opportunities for learners to give us feedback as to how satisfied they are in terms of satisfying their learner needs. And there has been proven to be the impact of XR has been proven to be a better comprehension, to give learners a better comprehension as well as motivation in terms of whatever they are learning. And to conclude, I would like to say that XR is something that is good for our educational industry. And like I said earlier on, it's for the betterment of for comprehension, for the motivation, and also gives learners the opportunity to choose what particular platform in terms of AR, MR, or the VR, whichever one they want. They are conversant or they are comfortable to make sure they maximize those efforts and make good use of it. So we have looked at what XR is. We have looked at the different kinds of XRs and their examples and what they bring to play in terms of our education. We have also talked about the technological affordances of XR, and we have also talked about immersive learning, their examples, and how we can evaluate them and bring and how also we can make design effective experiences in terms of XR. And I hope that you have learned something from this particular presentation. And I hope to see you in our next model. Thank you very much for making time for me, and see you in my next video. Cheers.